Since its launch in 2005, Broad Street Review has sought to promote the exchange of viewpoints rather than any particular point of view. To that end, we welcome commentary from professionals and amateurs alike about the performing and visual arts, as well as any other field of interest to our eclectic group of contributors. The following interview was submitted to Broad Street Review, powered by Rep Radio. It seemed like her focus was more about helping her friends get to where they needed to go.
Well, she also saved her husband's life.
Yeah.
I mean, everything she did in A Doll's House was for his life.
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't ask her father directly because he was too ill, but she knew that he would have, so she made it happen. I fault the culture in both 1 and 2 for why they are the way they are and why they can't be the way they would like to be, the way we would like them to be, the way we would like to be, that we also can't be. I had no interaction with Doll's House 1 except that I saw it. I saw the Janet...
Did you even know you were going to be a part of Part 2?
No, I had to audition.
Yeah.
You know, people think that I'm a shoo-in here. I had to audition. I had a callback, you know what I mean? Yeah. Tracy didn't know me. She, I think Terry would have loved to have had me, but he couldn't prescribe me. He could recommend me, and I had to do the rest, and I did. Yeah. And we had a fantastic time working together, but there was no guarantee for me. So I saw that Doll's House, and I actually, right before preview, said to Terry, have you seen this poster of this really beautiful girl in a red dress who's super skinny and, like, very dramatic? Like, do I have any relationship to her? Am I supposed to be hearkening back? And he said no. He said, the plays are the plays, but that's a different Nora, and you're a different Nora. And so I want you to be you, and I want you to be this thing that the play is asking, which is a much more, crass is kind of too harsh a word, but a masculinized, gutty, gritty, gutsy, I should say, not gutty, and contemporary Nora, as opposed to sort of a doe-eyed, heroine. This is more like a revolutionary, like a Emma Goldman. So I had to let go of that Doll's House. Yes, same designers. Yes, similar setup. Yes, same audience that's been educated, that has seen it, and so gets a lot of the inside jokes, but not, that was about it. I mean, I read it as well.
Mm-hmm. And picking up 15 years later with a playwright, over 100 years later, with different sensibilities, and we're living in a different society. Like, we're not even in Norway. So, I mean, the thought of all of that, a lot of that factors in too. And I think that's why, at least from my experience of A Doll's House, walking out of there was just like, yeah, you walk out, girl. It was sort of that. It was like, because even though we had observed everything that had happened up until this moment, it felt like at least Nora had this epiphany where it was just like, wait a minute, this isn't the life I want.
Well, I don't even know what life is. Yeah. And when Torvald...
And I got to go find it.
Yep. And Torvald says to her, when he discovers that she's committed forgery, he says, you are not fit to raise these children. I don't want you near the children. You may still stay in this house for form's sake, but you will not be the mother to these children. And she's already, the baby taken away from her after born and given to a wet nurse. Like, she's already had decisions made for her by what kind of a mother she's going to be. Yeah. So she's creating little dolls herself. And then she gets this message from him, you are not worthy. You are dangerous. You are unable. So when she hears that, I think a penny drops. And then he says, oh, never mind. You're fine. We're good. Isn't it great? It all worked out. And she's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. So
it's like I got out what I wanted to say, but let's just move on as if none of that was said.
Right. And I think it really affects her, and she's like, I'm not worthy to raise them because I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
And I think a revolutionary is born. I think of MLK, not a great father, not a great home life, lots of extramarital affairs. I think of Bill Clinton, not a great husband, arguably a great leader. Gandhi, not a great person with interpersonal relationships.
Which creates so much conflict because you're like,
right.
This part of you is good.
That's right.
And this part of you is just like unacceptable.
Well,
and that's life.
Yeah. And it's looking at this part of my life as collateral damage, but for the greater good, for the future of all girls, not just my girl, but the future of women.
Yeah.
What can I make different? How can I help us all? So I have not found that audiences have been on my side. I have found some have been on my side, and we had this teen audience. Oh, they hated me. Very conservative. When Torvald said, I think I miss you, Nora, and in my mind I'm going, no, you miss yourself. That was the you that was then, that was so confident, that had no questions. That's what you really miss. You don't miss me. You didn't know me. I didn't know me. But the kids, when they heard, I think I miss you, Nora, oh, they all said, like a bank of girls, oh, I was like, oh my God.
Do you think they're sitting in the house with, I mean, were they primed with a doll's house before sitting there?
Yes, they were.
And they still felt that way?
Yes, they were. I think that they have not lived and have not loved. And so in their mind, we are trapped in a culture that says happily ever after, that you will find your one true love and you will be happily ever after. So when Nora said, why does it have to be with one person? And for the rest of your life, they were like, They could not jump on board. They were like, they heard Emmy talk about marriage, one person that I find and I'm safe with, and they were like, right, yes, that's it, that's what I want. Like
or that's what she thinks she wants right now.
Yeah.
And maybe it is what she wants right now.
Right, but people change. So it's going to flex.
There's a seriously unquotable musician that had a line in a song that said, I'm forever yours temporarily. And I always think about it like that, and it's like you're basically saying, I am in with both feet right now, in this moment. So let's live in this moment as if it's forever.
Well,
and maybe there is some validity in that, but
what do you think?
There is this reality of what... I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, like, take us. We're theater artists. There's some part of our career that might change the trajectory of what we had planned. We may have this season mapped out, or we might just have till the end of December mapped out. But something could come up in February that changes everything.
Right.
Right. Which is, I feel like, as companies, the successful theater companies are planning years out in advance. Maybe they had planned to have, we're going to do both parts, and we're going to sing, we're going to have as much of the cast as we can. And who knows, maybe that was the plan, and it didn't quite work out, But anything could happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about it particularly, but I feel like I'm more on the side of, this is how I feel right now, so it is important for us to be very present and open about our feelings right now.
Well, I do believe in promises, and I'm married, and when my husband and I were creating our vows, I was like, till death? Do we have to say till death? Like, how can anyone say that? Why don't we just say we'll do the best we can?
Yeah.
And he said, no, we have to say till death. And I lost my mind on my wedding day because I was like, I said till death. Like, and I don't say it as a vow in Quaker meeting unless I mean it. So
I wonder if that's what generates the myriad of TV shows where, the sitcom has a wedding scene, and that wedding scene always features Cold Feet.
Yes.
Because it's that thought. It's
Yes.
like, well, I mean, when we were here just doing it, that felt like
Right.
till death do us part.
No, but now you're talking about
this legally binding contract witnessed by everyone and not just something we've said to each other.
Yeah.
Because we meant it in the moment.
Right. What does Emmy say? She says, I think that it's good that people are stuck in a marriage. I think that's what makes them tough it out. And it's true. February comes, and your job takes you over there, and my job takes you over here, and we're going to sort of try to figure out how to make it work. So I think for Nora, in that last monologue she has with Torvald, she says, I'm my best self by myself. Like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like I get so wrapped up in the cultural expectations and norms of what our relationship should be that I lose myself. And I don't want to lose myself. I want to be myself. So for me, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to do both. But I've always been an independent woman. I still get lost. I still sacrifice and give up myself and lose myself and resent and all those things that American women do. But I also have a great therapist. I have a spiritual life. I have... my husband and I actually started couples therapy right prior to this. And mostly because we wanted to be really equal and better parents. And it's been fantastic. Like nothing has brought us closer together because we are committed. Like we are in it. And we're like, okay, it's hard. So what do we do? And how do I take you in fully? And how do you allow me fully? And how do I support you? And how do we get back to why we are here to begin with? How do we go back and reinvest?
Yeah.
So it was really cool to do that right prior to going into rehearsal for this.
And there's that there's that one line of dialogue where the conversation talks about as soon as you had this realization, you left instead of staying and trying to work it out. Now that you've had this moment of clarity, it's just simply the thought is to run.
Well, he forbade me. He said, you cannot leave. And I was like, that's not how it works anymore.
And I'm going. Watch me.
I think that I think it would have been impossible for them within their cultural constructs. As much as he wanted to, and as much as she wanted to, their patterns were so entrenched that she didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she said, I'm going, and he said, I forbid it, is...
Yeah, you what? I'm definitely going now.
Exactly.
You don't forbid me.
Exactly, you can't. You can't forbid me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when a conversation just happens. We've been here for 13 minutes, and I have not said, welcome to Rep Radio. I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I am in the lobby at Arden Theater Company, and I'm here with Grace Gonglewski. Grace, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome
even said
to Rep
my
Radio.
Name right. Thank you.
I work really hard to respect our community.
Oh.
I feel like I'm the number one fanboy of our community.
Oh, that's so
I'm
awesome.
always trying to make sure I say it right, and I have a little backstory. I at least know where we first met, how we got started.
Awesome.
And it's just been wonderful to be able to follow everyone's career. I've been sort of activated in the community since 2005. And so I'm glad to be here with you as we unpacked a little bit of a doll's house.
Yes, yes.
We are putting the clothes into the into the dresser. We are hanging, separating furniture. So you are Nora in A Doll's House, Part 2. And if you were here last season at Arden, you had the opportunity to see a version of A Doll's House. So I was wondering, in that sense, I wonder if this is more palatable for us, or are we processing it differently because it's a modernized version?
Well, I think Simon also made that very palatable. Translations have always been important here at the Arden. When I did Hedda Gabler in 1998, Terry went through 4 different translations, I think, And we did 2 different readings, and then he came up when I was doing Julius Caesar at the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, and I was playing Portia, and I died in the first act, killed myself in the first act. So I had the second act to just sit there, and he said, "It's not that far. I'm going to come up, and we can read these scenes together." So we read a number of scenes together, and we chose that translation, which was Doug O'Hara, I believe. Doug. Terry would know. He's a wonderful writer and theater maker. Up at the Eugene O'Neill Center. Anyway, and it was really great translation. So I'm sure he probably looked and sought out the most easy on the ear in terms of contemporaryisms. Yeah. I know that in like the famous My Little Sparrow, he calls her My Little Lark, and in that last year's translation, he calls her a hamster. Which I think is really great. It's really perfect. So Lucas Nath is a totally contemporary playwright who wrote Doll's House Part 2, and he said part of his deal was he was going through a bad breakup, and he wanted to argue for fidelity and freedom from both sides. So he is the voice behind every argument that happens. And if you're sitting backstage at all during the process, you can really hear his voice in all 4 of them, in all of the arguments that they make. But of course, he very much contemporizes it and makes it, absolutely modern day.
Yeah. It's funny because we know that, We know that charged language and curse words have been very much part of the lexicon for ages.
Yes.
But to hear them in a visually period piece, it's kind of like,
and he does it so well. He has me talk, and then there's a big shit, and it just always brings the house down.
And they do make for good moments. It's like, I don't think you understand the enormity of this. Just show up after 15 years, after you've got your life somewhere else, pretending that you don't have a family here. Or at least that could be one thought.
Yeah, because she is forced to come back. Yeah. Like her life is ready to
Otherwise, she would have been out there in that life still.
Yeah, and it's not an easy life. It's a life where she's constantly having to fight. And here she is again, still subjugated 15 years later, and it is not, she's not blithely walking in. Yeah. She knows that it's going to be really hard, and then it becomes even harder than she thought. Yeah,
but also going back to the visual, there is this assumption that she is well-to-do now. She comes in this wonderful gown that's all floral and just a very, it's a bold. It's bold.
Yes.
So it's like, you can't struggle in that, or can you? Of course you can. Well, it's like, on the outside, it looks one way, but then as we start to unpack this, we find out it hasn't been easy.
Yes.
Finding yourself, really.
Right, and fighting for myself. I think one of the things that... I just lost my train of thought. It was...
I was talking about how it looks on the outside and finding yourself and the...
Yes. Thank you. That was it. Lucas Nath asked a lot of people, what do you think happened to Nora after she left? And overwhelmingly the response was, she became a prostitute, she was destitute, she died in a gutter, she was like, everyone had terrible ideas. And he was like, you know what, I want to make it that she found success. She found a modicum of success. Yeah. Actually, in that teen group that came, because they were so sort of anti-Nora, I was like, I want to see them face to face. I want them to look at me face to face and not boo me like I'm, some bad character on some sitcom, but actually have to look at me in the face. And it very much changed when I was looking at them. They were like, oh my gosh, you were amazing. It was amazing. And it didn't damn me anymore when I was with them. But one of the groups, the teacher had given that assignment. Right, they had seen Doll's House, last year's, and so she said, "What do you think happened?" And they all wrote sequels. And again, most of them were, she ended up being destitute. And now that they saw the show, they wanted to rewrite them.
Thinking about the time, well, I guess maybe they were thinking about the time frame and saying, like, what sort of opportunities would she have had?
Exactly. Very little.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like when you are kind of lost, you have to look inward and share your experience.
Yeah.
And your experience gets you out of a tough spot all the time.
Yeah, boy. That's
because when someone, hopefully, it's the hope that if someone else can relate to this struggle or to this path, then that might open a door. Tell me how you got through. How are you here telling us this now?
Right.
You know, so there's some validity in all of it. Let's talk a little bit about the director's vision, Tracy Bridgen.
Tracy had some prescriptions that came with they wanted the same door. Tracy had wanted no door or a single door, and it was a double door, and so, you know, there were 3 or 4 things like that she was kind of stuck with what they gave her, and she just went with it and made the best of it. And I think she was always asking Stephen and I to keep it really hot and really high. She didn't want it to be too much of like a sit back with a lip curl. Mm-hmm. She wanted it to be on point. People who were still suffering about the decisions that I made 15 years ago.
Was there a thought in your mind, or was there part of the conversation that says were they waiting for this interaction?
I don't know, because I think...
Because it does in some way, it does feel like Torvald was kind of ready to have this. Maybe not today, but just sort of like...
Yeah. I think he's thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's stuck. I think he's painted himself as a victim. He's gotten rid of things. He hasn't repainted. He hasn't, kept up a life. He's just sort of hunkered down. He works morning, noon, and night. His life is about papers. And I don't think that he's healed. I don't think he's gone forward. Like when he finally gets to say his piece to her, he's stuck 15 years prior. He starts with "you left," and then he goes, "and this, and I felt this, and I felt this, and I felt this." Whereas she left and suffered for 2 years and came out on another side of it, reinvented herself, discovered parts of who she was.
So he kind of buried all of that into work and obligations.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not defending her position, her choices. They're not the choices I would make. On the other hand, I'm not a revolutionary.
Yeah.
I'm not Emma Goldman.
But I don't think it's meant for us to walk out saying, "So who won?"
Yeah.
It says there's blame to share.
Yes.
And it may not, because I do remember laughter in the audience last season. Mm-hmm. Every time it was like, oh, did he really just say that to her? Mm-hmm. It was like, today it's like, you're being condescending.
Right. Right.
And so I think that's why I felt like the audience was walking out on her side in that, saying like, he doesn't even realize the damage he's doing to her. But the dialogue, the back and forth that you get to have in part 2 is saying like, well, we never actually unpacked anything.
Yes.
It's sort of like these bags were sitting by the door all that time, and then you just grabbed them and left once you realized it was time to go.
Right.
Instead of saying, here's why I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
Everybody shines in this. I feel like everyone, in terms of performance, it's like, ooh, I can see men wanting to play Torvald and seeing women wanting to play Nora, and Anne-Marie is, she's in there. She has the moments that are really like, she's serious. And then Emmy just precocious, like kind of like, ooh, okay, feisty. Like this is a character I'd love to dive into where Emmy is, and it just seems like she kind of has this. Oh no, we're fine. You know, it seems like it until we get to the meat of like she's given this some thought.
Yes.
And saying like, because I'm not about to let your choices stand in the way of my future.
Right.
And that part is like, whoa.
Yes.
Get it, Emmy? Like you know you know what you want right now. At least you have a direction. You know?
Yes.
And you are committed to moving forward in that. So when she's there, I really thought that she was going to appear and be like, you know, almost every time it's like, you know, whenever there's depicted of an absent parent, it's sort of like, where have you been?
Right.
You know, you're immediately on the stand, but that wasn't it. It was like, oh no, actually, I think, you know, there were some things that were great. You know, at least she was looking at the bright side, kind of pointing out how, this was probably the best way. I'm much farther along than other people would have been because they've had this experience. And I think that's something that in hindsight, I think many people who come from, you know, not dysfunctional, but just sort of less than stereotypically perfect families find out in hindsight. It's like, maybe I am better off because that happened at 12 and not happened at 30, you know?
Right.
So it was very interesting to have her on stage, and I was like, please stay.
Yeah, she's great.
I can't believe that is the position you're taking, and I want to live in this for a minute.
Yes.
Because I just didn't know what to think.
Yeah, I think Grace played around with, and as she went further and further, she got quite angry at Nora, and she would, our last looks between each other, she would really dart me a hateful glance, and Tracy was like, you know, I think it's more complex. I think that everybody learns things from each other, whether or not it changes how they live their lives. I think Nora certainly, everyone hits her, and she takes the hits. She goes, oh, ow, I see. Like, she's been out there in the world taking hits, and she comes home and she listens to all of them. And Emmy, I think, hears her towards the end of their time together. I don't know if she fully understands it because she's not married yet. I mean, if Jorgen found out that she was going to forge something, who knows what? You know, maybe it would be just like with Torvald. Yeah. So. And in that moment, it almost, you're right. It almost feels like there is this opportunity of history repeating. Right. So I think Tracy was really interested in the complex relationships between all four of them, and I think that shows.
And just think for a second, someone having the kind of history, institutional knowledge, if you will, as Anne-Marie has. She's been there for generations. She's helped raise Nora. She raised her children, and now she's here in this moment. You hear her the whole time, the mainstay. I mean, it's like her frustration and her anger is absolutely valid here, and it would be interesting to wonder if she ever had the opportunity to be that honest before. In that conversation, it is like there's a respect that she has for Torvald that she doesn't need to have for Nora in this moment. Nora needs some truth medicine, and she's the right one to give it to her. Yeah. And so, you know, the way she carries in throughout the piece is just mind-blowing. And it's kind of like you're thinking like grandma wisdom. You know, it's like, I told you. What I tell you, didn't I tell you? You know.
I think it's really powerful that Tracy cast Joy Lett. That she cast an African American person to play the servant, who's kind of the smartest one in the room, because it had been played the very first time by a little Midwestern white-haired old lady, and the second time by a very Jewish lady who would be like, whoa, you know, F you. Like, it was very, very funny. And I think the first couple of times Joy Light did it, it wasn't funny at all, because there's a lot of reasons why a 60-year-old African-American woman should be saying F you to a 50-year-old white woman, you know, in a way fancier dress. Like, there's a lot of reasons. And I think it resonates with all of us. So I call it our Black Lives Matter moment. And then we get to have this wonderful sort of reconnection and truth-telling to each other that is really imperfect, right? It's not, oh, here's how we'll wrap it up. It's like a stilted, uncomfortable, queer apology and an accepting of the words, but not accepting of the gifts. So it's this really honest conversation.
It's like, I hear you.
And yet.
Yes, but.
And I think it's the kind of conversations that we as Americans have to have. You know, they're really uncomfortable, and there's no happy ending because we live with the legacy of slavery. And that was not Ibsen's reality. It never would have been an African or a black servant in Norway, but I think there's repercussions here that make that really rich, and I'm proud of us for that, because that's way different than any regions that I've seen, or certainly Broadway.
And we always point out those are the impact of artistic choices, and it is the reason why. Multiple companies can put their spin on this. You know, multiple artists can mount this and present it in their own way, because now I want to see it through that lens.
Yeah.
I want to see it through this lens. And you know what? Wow. I mean, because I'm sure there are people here who saw it on Broadway and had a different opinion. And now they see it here, and it's localized, and it's present, and Me Too movement and everything that has come through. We're sitting in this madness of we're thinking about, oh, wow, so now with all this layered on top of this, because I had the fortunate opportunity to experience it prior to everything that I have to walk into the theater with now, you're just, whoa. Yeah. I almost think, I feel like for every regional theater, there has to be room for discussion.
Yes.
And it seems that it is the benefit of regional theater.
Yes.
We're not on those seriously strict timelines, but we can engage this audience and unpack it a little bit and say, like, yeah, what did you think? Yeah. Because those this piece has to make for interesting car rides home.
Yes, definitely. When the teens were here, it was such a great live experience.
That would be a good podcast.
It was,
car ride session. Mr. Radford.
But they all said, we saw the one last year, and we left, and we didn't have any questions. And now we have all these questions. Yeah. And a lot of people say, when's Doll's House 3 going to happen, you know? What happens next?
And that's what I said when I first saw you. I said, I feel like there should be a part 3. Right. I want to know what happens when that door closes again. Yeah. Because it's just, it feels like it could be a series. Yeah. Sitcom. Yeah. Can you imagine a sitcom like this? It's just heavy the whole time. It's just heavy all the time. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I love that piece, but I just feel terrible afterwards. But I can't stop watching. It's like a car wreck.
That's hilarious.
So I know as we speak now, we're getting ready to experience a run.
Yes, I'm going to watch the understudies. I've never seen it from the outside, and I've never seen the projections and stuff. So I really do want to.
So I'll wrap up by asking what I ask every artist: what presents a sense of urgency for you as an artist? What inspires you to tackle roles and go out for them and get through life.
I love doing all kinds of theater.
Challenges you.
I love Shakespeare. I just did Winter's Tale down at the Folger, where we were a stone's throw from the Capitol, where the current president is, and I, in my role as Paulina, got to tell a mad king the truth about what he was doing to his people, and it felt so relevant. Being able to do little night music a couple years ago, and sing "Hey Ho, the Glamorous Life," and have my child be able to see, haha, the plaster cracking in the, terrible rooms, and like she knows the truth about what an actor's life is like. So to be able to share that as a woman in her 50s, to be able to do SFB and go back to the roots of Chekhov in this completely contemporary way that has so much resonance now. Everything I do, I find, has resonance. And I remember when my sister went through chemo, she was saying that she took the Dustin Hoffman movie, or not Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams' Mrs. Doubtfire in, like, she memorized scenes and she would just take that in with her while she was having this medicine administered, and it got her through. And I, as a young artist, was so condescending towards Mrs. Doubtfire, and I thought, oh, this schlock and this, very populist. And it got my sister through what she had to get through. Yeah. And so I cast no aspersions on any of the different mediums of theater, and I feel like they all have a place at the table, and I bring my whole heart, my whole body, my whole mind, everything to everything that I do, so that I can be in communication with the brotherhood of man. It's all good.
And that's a good place to end. Grace Gonglewski.
Yay!
It was a pleasure chatting with you.
You too.
And Unpacking a Doll's House Part 2.
Yes, come see it.
And when you get here, it'll look like it's already been packed. You see what I mean? It's on stage here at Arden. You can get your tickets at Arden Theater, theaterre.org, and come be part of this conversation. If you want to unpack a little further, you can look at the dates for the post-show discussions, which there are quite a few in there, but they'll definitely be worth your time.
Awesome.
Grace, thank you so much.
My
it's been
pleasure.
truly a pleasure chatting with you.
My pleasure.
Want to get involved with Broad Street Review? Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.